everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I am going to show you today how to make this adorable baby cardigan. This cardigan is appropriate for approximately 6 to 9 month old baby. My measurements are 25 centimeters or 10 inches, nearly 10 inches across, and then measured from the top of the shoulder down, I got 11 inches or 29 centimeters. I only needed 2 buttons for closure, and I used existing space between the 2 double crochets, so I don't have to create button loops. It was a pleasure working with this yarn. It is very soft, but the whole cardigan is very airy because we have these double crochet 2 together clusters. And if you know how to make double crochet and single crochet, you are good to go for this project. So for this project, I used this beautiful yarn that has such beautiful colors and transitions. It is by Loops and Threads, and it is called Facets. This is acrylic yarn, category 4. Recommended hook for this yarn is 5 millimeter crochet hook. However, I used 4.5. You will see me interchange for this 4.5 with this 4.5. I am learning how to use this more ergonomic hook because my fingers are getting a little bit sore after crocheting for a while. And I also need a pair of scissors, stitch markers, darning needle. You will also need a regular sewing needle to sew the buttons onto the cardigan, and 2 buttons. My buttons are 2 centimeters wide or 3/4 of an inch, but it's up to you. You can use smaller or bigger buttons, and a measuring tape. And that's all I used, and without a further ado, let's begin. So I am going to chain 62. One, two, three. So the 4th chain, you're going to double crochet, and then you're going to double crochet in each stitch around. And we're going to also do our increases starting with this row. So what we need to do is crochet 8 double crochets, and then we're going to do our first increase. So that's including the chain 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Into the 9th stitch, we're gonna do V-stitch, which is double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. It's probably a good idea to put the stitch marker inside that V-stitch. And now we need 11 double crochets. So starting right here into this next stitch, do 11 double crochets. So I got my 11 stitches. Always good idea to double check. So this is our V stitch, and this is our chain 1 space. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And now we're going to do our next increase. So again, V-stitch, double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet into that same stitch. Place a stitch marker. Now we're going to do 16 double crochets. So starting into the very next stitch, start counting 16 double crochets. So after 16 stitches into the next stitch, I'm going to put another increase and put a stitch marker in that increase. So V-stitch in here, and now you're going to repeat. So on this side we had 11 double crochets and then V-stitch and then 8 double crochets. So we're going to repeat that here. So 11 double crochets, 1 increase, which is V double crochet stitch, and then 8 stitches remaining. So I finished my first row, and so I have 8 stitches here, and then I have 8 stitches here. I got 2 stitches remaining, so I am going to undo those because I don't need them, and I'll do so off the camera. For row 2, I will chain 3, turn my work, and now I am going to skip this very first stitch and go into the next one and do 2 double crochets together. So instead of finishing double crochet, you're just going through the first 2 loops. I will chain 1, skip 1 into the next stitch, 2 double crochets unfinished. So go through first 2 loops, go through second 2 loops. Now you have 3 loops on the hook, go through all 3 of them, chain 1, skip 1 into the next stitch, again as if you're going to do a double crochet but don't finish it, yarn over, go in that same space again, go through the first 2 loops, go to the next 3, and then chain 1, skip 1, go to the next one, and we're going to repeat this. Always chain 1. So now we will skip 1, and into this chain 1 space or our V-stitch we are going to do 2 of these separated by a single crochet. So 2 double crochets together, chain 1, and 2 double crochets together. Oops. Chain 1. So we just double the thing. So we will now skip 1, and that one is right here. So we will go into the next stitch and do our regular 2 double crochet together cluster, chain 1, skip 1, go into the next one, and do that a few more times until we get close to the V-stitch. Then we'll do that together. I'm at my next stitch marker, so skip this one, and into the V-stitch we're gonna do double V-stitch. So 2 double crochets together, chain 1, and 2 double crochets together. Again, chain 1. We will skip 1, which is this one here, into the next stitch. We will start doing our clusters again, and do so until the next stitch marker. Again, we're going to skip 1, and into this V-stitch we're going to put double V-stitch cluster separated by a chain 1, chain 1, skip this one here and go to the next one, and repeat this until the end of the row. So I'm at the end of the row, so we need to make sure that we have the same number of cluster stitches on both ends and on both shoulders. So here I had, so this is our cluster, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we skipped 1 and did chain 3. So here I am going to skip that one, and into turning chain I'm going to put 1 double crochet. you will chain 3 and turn your work. So now in this space here, I am going to put 1 additional double crochet, chain 1. Now we're going to do cluster stitches in each space. Now we're at the cluster stitch. So in here we're going to do double cluster V stitch, and then immediately after put our first double crochet cluster. So always chain 1 after each cluster. And so now right after the cluster here, the V stitch, we're going to put our first cluster. And continue on for this entire row. So before and after the V stitch, this is our V stitch. Before and after, there is 1 cluster stitch, and in the middle, double cluster V stitch all the way to the end. At the end of the row, we're going to see what we did on the other side to make sure that we have 2 sides matching. So this is our V stitch, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 full V stitches, or 2 double crochet together, and then at the end I have my chain 3 and the very first double crochet, which I put in this first space. So I'm going to do the same here. So I got my last cluster, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in this space here between the first chain 3, I am going to put a double crochet, and then 1 more double crochet at the top of chain 3 from the previous row. All right, so now chain 3 and turn your work. So now here we have 2 double crochets. That means I'm going to skip to my very first space and do my first cluster. Chain 1 and continue with clusters all the way to the end of the row. And here is my V. You may prefer to move your marker each time, but they're pretty visible. So in this V, I'm going to put double V stitch cluster, chain 1 and 2 double crochets together, and then chain 1. Continue with your clusters all the way to the end of the row. Love these colors. At the end of the row, we will add 1 more double crochet at the top of chain 3, or our last double crochet. So I did my last double crochet together, chained 1, and now skip this stitch and go to the top of chain 3 and do double crochet. Now you will chain 3, turn your work. And now, because we only have 1 double crochet here, we're going to add another one in this space, chain 1, and continue with double crochet 2 togethers. So the most important thing is that at the end of, when we come back to the end of this part here, then we're going to put our last shell in here and 1 double crochet at the top of chain 3. Every time that you see you have 2 double crochets, you're going to have that chain 3 and then go with the cluster stitch right here. So just repeat these rows. You will always have 2, 1, 2. The next one will be 1, and then so on. So our neck opening is shaping nicely. So let's do this another 4 times. So 4 rows, and then we'll measure the piece to see where we are at with reaching our desired baby size. So I did 4 more rows. So what I have in total now is, starting with the setup row, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 rows, and I just started row 9. I did my 9 rows, and so my measurements are now closer to what we need. I am at almost 5 inches or 12 centimeters, and across I have 22 centimeters or almost 9 inches. So we're gonna add a couple of clusters here under each armpit, which will give us more arm opening space as well as the width for the body of our cardigan. So we are going to go into that first space right away and do our first cluster. Chain 1 and continue with clusters until you reach the corner. Then we're going to separate or connect the front to the back. So do your first cluster as normal. Oops. And we're going to chain 3 and then move on to the next corner and do our next cluster in here. Chain 1, and now continue with your regular clusters until you reach the other armhole area, and then we'll do the connecting part together. In the next corner, put your first cluster stitch, so 2 double crochets together. Chain 3 and find that next corner space, which is right here, and do your cluster in there, right in the center of it. Chain 1 and continue with clusters until the end of the row, and I'll meet you there. At the end of the row, chain 3, turn your work, and we will start with 1 double crochet into this space, chain 1, and do clusters until almost to the armpit area, and then I'll show you what to do next. I'm at my last cluster, so in that first single crochet or the chain, we're going to put 1 cluster. Remember, we made 3, so that's my cluster. Chain 1. We're going to skip 1 and do a cluster into the next one. So we added 2 clusters in under the armpit area. Chain 1, and now continue with regular clusters as before, and we're going to go and do the same thing at the other shoulder or arm opening, and I'll help you with that one more time. So again, there are 3 chains here, so 1, 2, and 3. Into the first one, we're going to put our first cluster, chain 1, skip this one, and into this one put our second cluster. Chain 1, and now continue with regular cluster stitches. So to continue, I was going to measure my little cardi. So from the top of the shoulder to the end of the chest part that we just made, I have 6 inches or 15.5 centimeters. My length should be around 11 3/4 inch, so say 12 inches. So I still have 5 or 6 inches to go, and if each 2 rows of mine are approximately 2 inches, let's do 8 more rows. That would give us 4 inches, and then we can see if we need more length before we put the border on. Before I start working on the body of my cardigan, I'm going to mark this row, and that will tell me that I started counting 8 rows from here. I did my 8 rows, so I started here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And my length now measures from top of the shoulder. It's 10 inches or 26 centimeters. I'm gonna do one more row, and then we're gonna do the waistband. You will chain 1, turn your work, and then chain 1 more, and now we're gonna skip this space, and into this first stitch we're gonna single crochet, chain 1, and then skip this chain 1 and go here and do single crochet. So we're doing the same thing, except we're not doing double crochets, we're doing single crochets. We're skipping every chain 1 space, and then into the actual double crochet cluster we're putting 1 single crochet, chain 1. Skip the chain 1 space, go into the double crochet top and chain 1, and you will continue doing this until the end of this row. Always chain 1, skip 1, and do single crochet into the next stitch. Also, as you're doing chain 1s, make sure that you're crocheting fairly loosely so that you don't get the fabric starting to pull in. So this is nice and stretchy, so make sure that you have this even look. If you don't, start over and just relax your chain 1s. I will do my last single crochet and chain 1, and then do single crochet into the top of chain 3, just as we did on the other side. Okay, so now chain 2 and turn your work sideways. So now we're going to be working on this front. I'm going to remove my stitch marker. And so for each row, these are our rows of double crochet clusters, we're going to put 2 double crochets. So here we have first, and now the second. The second will be in this space in between. Again, you're going to put one into the empty space and one in here. So continue putting 2 double crochets per each row until you reach the end of the row. I'm at the end of the row and I calculated, I counted 40 stitches, which makes sense because we do have 20 rows right now, not counting the single crochet. So here at the end of the row, I'm going to chain 1 and then do 2 more single crochets in this stitch and 1 more into this little gap here just to close that gap. And now there are stitches here, or half of the stitches or the loops that we didn't use the first time around. So in this very first stitch, which is the stitch right here, I'll put half double crochet. So half double crochet is just yarn over and go through all 3 loops and then do 1 more half double crochet and 1 more. Instead of doing decreases as half double crochets 2 together, I'm going to skip the next stitch and go into the next one and just continue with my half double crochets until I reach the stitch right before the corner. So the corner is here. This is our raglan increase. So actually I'm already there. So what I need to do is skip this stitch and then half double crochet into the next, and then skip this stitch and half double crochet into the next. So we are pulling that neckline and taking care of that corner, that squariness, if you will. So now continue with half double crochets. We're going to do another increase, or sorry, decrease. So let's do 5 stitches. So 1 more. And so our next decrease is here. So I'm going to skip 1 stitch now. So skip this one and go into the next one and do half double crochet and continue until we get to 1 stitch before. Okay, so my V is here. Stitch before would be here. So I'm going to do my half double crochet in this stitch, skip this one and get right into the middle of that V stitch or raglan increase, and then skip the next stitch and go into the next one. The easiest way to spot your stitches, because they're only kind of half loop big, is to look at into the light so that you can see where your little holes are right here. See, so we skipped 2 here, so I'm going to correct that. Okay, so I will skip this stitch and then do half double crochet into the next one. This is now our back side. Here we will put 2 decreases. So this is my 3rd stitch, 4th and 5th. Skip this stitch, go into the next one. 1, 2, 3, Let's do 4. Now skip 1, this one here, go to the next one, and let's stop here. So I have 2 more stitches to go, and 2. So I'm gonna skip this stitch and work right into the middle of that V-stitch, and then again skip 1 and go into this next one, do the same thing, so on the shoulder area we did only 1 decrease, so this is my 4th I think, and then maybe 5th stitch. Skip this one, go to the next one, this is our corner, so I'm going to skip this one, but I am going to work into this one. Okay, so skip this stitch and work into the middle of V-stitch, skip this stitch and work into the next one, and so let's double check. So on this side we had 2 single crochet and a turning chain, so we're gonna have to do the same here because our double crochet will go sticking out from here, right here. So I can stop with my half double crochets all the way to the end. And 1 more. And now I'm going to chain 2, and into that same space I will put my first double crochet, and the next one goes into this little space in between, and now continue with double crochets, 2 per row, until you reach your 40 stitches, or whatever you had on the other side. I had 40 stitches. So I got my 39. I'm going to put my very last stitch into this first turning chain. Let's see what we got. We got one cute cardigan. That's what we got. Okay, so I got same number of stitches, front and back, I mean left and right side. And so we now can cut our yarn, and we can definitely do our sleeves next. To start our sleeves, we finished here on the right side. This is the wrong side, this is the right side. So we're gonna have to flip our work and start from the inside. I'm going to attach my yarn between these 2 extra clusters that we added. So this is our chain 3 and then 2 extra clusters. So I'm going to attach my yarn here. So chain 3, and once you got your chain 3, look for this corner here. This is our first sleeve corner. Put your yarn hook in there and pull up the loop like so, and now go back into that same space and do two more double crochets. So this is number 2, and we're going to do one more. Now we're going to slip stitch to this corner like so. Then we're going to chain 3 and do our second double crochet, chain 1, and now we're going to continue all the way around. So I'll meet you at the end of this row and we'll close the round together. So at the end of the round you will chain 1, and we're going to put 1 extra cluster stitch in the middle of that 3 double crochet stitches we did to bridge the gap. Chain 1 and slip stitch to the top of chain 3. All right, so now it's much easier to work around. I would recommend turning the work, because otherwise the work will travel and then you're going to get this beginning and end always in a different spot. So here I would just chain 3, and I always like to be right in the middle of this arm opening. Chain 1, and now we're going to continue with clusters as we did before. So what I want to do here is I'm going to put a stitch marker on my yarn here and take off my yarn skein, and what I want to do is turn this now onto the right side, which means that I have to move this skein to the other side, and now we are on the right side of our work. All right. So to join the round, it's very simple. We're going to slip stitch to the top of chain 3. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Slip stitch to the top of chain 3. Okay, so now we are going to either do this and then turn around and chain 3, or just chain 3. So now I'm going to chain 2 actually, and then do 1 more double crochet here, chain 1, and continue with cluster stitches. I'll put my last cluster here, chain 1, and slip stitch to the top of chain 3. So the sleeve length should be approximately 6.5 inches. So we're going to measure that and work as many rows as we need to get to 6 inches. Then we'll see if we need to do another row. All right, so I now have, measuring from the armpit area, I have 15 centimeters, or 6 inches. I'm going to do 1 more row and then we're going to do the edging. I will slip stitch to the top of chain 3. Do not turn this work for this last row. We're going to chain 1 and then single crochet around. So I'm not going to chain 1 this time in between. I will just single crochet in every chain, or in every double crochet cluster. So you basically skip one and single crochet in the next one, skip one, single crochet at the end of the row. So this is our first single crochet. I'm going to still work in this stitch here, put my single crochet there, and I will slip stitch to that first single crochet. So now the sleeve is tapered in a little. I think it looks cute. Okay, so you're gonna have to repeat this on the other side. I did chain one, so I'm just gonna cut my yarn here and weave in this end. And then repeat this on the other, for the other sleeve. I finished the second sleeve, and now I'm going to sew the buttons onto my cardigan. I found these lovely flower-like buttons, and they are approximately 3/4 of an inch or 2 centimeters at widest parts. First of all, make sure that your needle will go through the buttonholes, and I'm going to get only 2 buttons sewn on. So I'm also going to close these gaps that we created when we joined the front to the back and started the sleeve. So the way I do it is, it's a kind of the best way you can do it. So just go under a few stitches and grab the ones that you need to close the gap. Leave yourself a good long tail. And always try to grab a couple of stitches instead of just one strand. And one here. And all I will do right now is I will bring these two, tie these two together. Because this yarn is multicolored, it is so easy to get away with stuff like this. So I'm just going to tie several knots. And one more. I'm going to weave in these ends, and I'm going to repeat this on the other side, under the other armpit. Our beautiful cardigan is done. I decided to go without the button loops, only because the opening here is quite big for my button, which is perfect, and then the other one could be here. There is enough room between the two double crochets to use as buttonhole. So overall, it was a pleasure working with this yarn. I absolutely adore it, and I definitely love the color transition that we see on my little cardigan, as well on the back. I weaved in all my ends. You need to do the same, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did. And until our next project together, stay well, everyone.